But let's also welcome on board Abneesh. He's joining us from Nuvama to talk to us about if and when this deal does fructify, what could it mean for the company? Abneesh Roy is with us. Abneesh, hi. These are the initial details and the story that we have, that Tata Consumers is looking at buying 51% stake in Haldiram's. Tata Consumers has been talking about how they want to expand their food business. But do you think this could be a good fit for Tata Consumers?
Yes, so definitely Tata Consumer wants to transform its portfolio. And if you see, even organically and inorganically, they have been doing multiple initiatives last 3 years since Sunil D'Souza has taken over as MD. So earlier we saw Soulful being acquired in the breakfast cereals and the kind of scale up they have done. And they have done in their existing brands also multiple launches. So they are very clear that because now distribution also has been doubled, they want to be a very different portfolio 3 years, 5 years down the line. Now, coming to a specific question on how this thing will pan out. So, one, of course, is if you see any deal, unless and until it is announced, it can always be very difficult to say whether it will happen or not. And we earlier saw even in Bisleri, it had come in the newspapers and everywhere that deal is happening, and then the deal did not happen. So, I will say that yes, definitely Haldiram's is India's largest snacks player by mile, and it will be a very large acquisition. So if I see currently our forecast for FY24, Tata Consumer revenue is around 15,000 crores. So Haldiram's will be a very large size. So we don't have numbers for last year because it's unlisted for Haldiram's, but my sense is it's around 10,000 crores number. So it's a very large acquisition. It will be a great acquisition. We have seen already Bikaji, which got listed, doing so well in that space. So it's a exciting space, but ultimately it also boils down to what will be the deal contours, because that also will matter in terms of EPS acquisition also. But I will say that currently these are early days, because if you see the statement also that Tata Consumer is saying that the $10 billion valuation is rich. So we need to see whether the deal actually happens, what are the contours, etc. But clearly it's a great brand. Haldiram's is a great brand, India's largest snacks brand for sure. And it will be a great acquisition, but deal contours are also equally important to see.
You know, and that's exactly the point, Abneesh. I mean, these are just news agency reports which do indicate that Tata Consumer is saying that 10 billion valuation is too high. But given that Haldiram's as well, in the previous times or in past times, has wanted to IPO, wanted to understand what exactly is the valuation that Haldiram's is quoting, or rather is quoting at, and what's then really the fair value of a 51% stake in the business?
So they are unlisted, so we don't have clarity on their growth plans and how the different metrics are. So I will not comment on the valuation bit, but definitely it's obviously an exciting space. We have seen Bikaji do so well. Their growth numbers are very decent. Post IPO, Bikaji stock has done well. There's good interest also. Of course, Haldiram's is a much larger player than Bikaji, and of course, in FMCG, larger player, clearly the interest level is also higher from larger global investors also. Plus, definitely in terms of margins and overall profile, larger company will generally be superior to a smaller company. So Haldiram's will have very premium valuation, but I'm not able to comment on a specific number given it's an unlisted company.
Completely. But, you know, just Abneesh, to the point that you were earlier making, you're saying that on the balance sheet size that Tata Consumer currently has, they will not be able to pull through such an expensive acquisition?
No, I think that is not the case. It's Tata Consumer is from one of the India's largest conglomerates, and we have seen generally Tata as a group under Mr. Chandra as the chairman, and he is very clear that Tata Consumer with Tata kind of brand name, 3.9 million outlets distribution and scaling up further. Why should it be restricted to just salt and tea and a few more breakfast cereals and water, etc.? It has to be much more deeper and wider in FMCG. So next 3-5 years, I would expect Tata to be very aggressive in terms of the inorganic and organic both. but definitely, I would say that that's not the case that they can finance or not finance. Ultimately, Street will see on EPS accretion what happens. So that's the important number. For that, we'll need full details of the P&L of Haldiram's, and then we need to see what is the stock, what is the deal contours, and then we need to see how they will finance it, mix of debt and equity. So I would say that yes, they can definitely acquire. I don't see that as the issue. The issue is what will be the EPS accretion in any these kind of large valuation initially first 1 or 2 years. I would say that it will be EPS dilutive in most such large acquisition. So I think that is the bigger question rather than the ability of Tata Consumer to go for such a deal. I don't think that is the issue.
Funding is not the issue, and overall it could be a good fit for Tata Consumers as well, given the brand value is so high, the presence is so high, it's even higher than BKG. But as even Abneesh pointed out, deals like these are a bit tricky. We have seen there has been a lot of speculation around Bisleri deal, around that Ching's sauces as well. That deal too is in the pipeline apparently. So we'll wait by and see how this materializes. Thank you, Abneesh, for joining us with that, with your initial take of how this deal would, what really it will mean for Tata Consumer. That stock continues to gain ground. So we had seen an initial uptick of around 2% when that story broke out. Since then, the street has